Welcome back to another episode of Filthy Rich with Story. I'm your host, Hannah. I wanted to dive in today's episode into a client case study that is going to bust a couple of myths. It's going to bust the myth that the more eyeballs you have on your content, your brand, your offers, the more sales you'll make. And also the myth that you have to have insane stories and testimonials and client proof screenshots in order to be successful, because this particular client had both those things. She had a large following and she also did not have many stories, but yet she followed my signature framework and was able to get 17 leads for her program. So let's dive into it, because this episode is going to be so good. And I wanted to just calm your nerves a little bit, because I know sometimes it feels like you're posting into the void. You're showing up, you're creating content every single day, and you get a handful of likes, and it can be frustrating. It can be discouraging, and it makes you feel like, you're late to the game, or that, you won't be able to keep up with that girl who has the perfect branding and backdrop, and she's taking first class flights to Paris, and you're like, how am I supposed to compete with that? I'm just a girl, and I'm just a mom, I'm just a family, my house is a mess, how am I supposed to keep up with that? And this episode, if you take anything out of it, is that knowing how to convert people and knowing how to use story strategically is how you're going to get more sales. Visibility is great. Yes, visibility is amazing. We love visibility, but if you're not actually converting those people, you're going to be just as frustrated as the person who has 500 followers. I can also tell a story on my own personal end of when I was on TikTok and I had a video go to 500,000 views. It reached 500,000 views, and first thing, it was stressful as hell. I was overwhelmed, and I had to literally go on a hike into the mountains to a place where I did not get cell service, because anytime I opened my phone, I was stressed out. I was getting hate comments. I was just overwhelmed by the number of notifications. And I also just wasn't in a place in my business where I had the space and energy to go viral, because my offers weren't positioned to sell to these people. The video also wasn't even bringing in the right people, so I was going viral and none of those people were actually dream clients. I was actually getting tons of really misaligned leads, which just goes to show why it's so important to have your messaging dialed in and having strategy behind what you post, because it's exciting when the numbers are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But if they're not actually bringing in the right people, it can be really, really stressful. So needless to say, I had a video get 500,000 views. I don't even know if that's considered viral, but when most of my content doesn't reach more than 5,000 views, it's exciting to me. But needless to say, this video brought in 0 sales, and it gave me a lot of followers, but it gave me the wrong followers. And so I'm going to want you to learn from my mistakes, and we're going to dive into this client case study, because my client M actually had a big following. She had about, I think it was 5,000 followers on Instagram. I'm not entirely sure, but the fact of the matter is her videos, every single time she posted, were getting insane reach. She was getting 10,000 views per reel on average. But she was a yoga and mindset instructor, and she was trying to build her audience. Her goal was to get her Instagram audience into her yoga classes, into her mindset programs. And she didn't have a single client. She hadn't signed her first client yet. So what we did when she came to me, first of all, she was feeling like she didn't belong in my programs, because she's I haven't signed any clients yet, but listen, I have this yoga certification, I have this coaching certification, and my chair's breaking underneath me right now. And she was I also have led myself through this formula, this method that I am teaching in some of my programs. And I've also led friends through this. So I have tons of different case studies to pull from. And I was great, that's what we need, right? We don't want to be trying to sell something that's untested, but if you've tested it yourself, or if you brought friends through it, or if you've done an exchange of work and you brought somebody through it, even if it was unpaid, that is still really good for strategic storytelling. So she came in after some back and forth conversations in the DM. She was like, I don't know if this is right for me. And I was like, yes, it is. Let's talk about it. We talked about her goals. We talked about where she's at right now. We talked about like what offers she's selling and what their price points were. And it was just a really laid back conversation because, first of all, I've never wanted to take on someone who's not ready for the program. And I want to make sure you're in the best placement for your own personal growth, because it actually is beneficial to me if you're in the right place, because then you get good results, right? So I take the time and I don't pressure anyone into my offers unless I truly believe that you can make progress inside that particular offer. So anyway, we had that conversation and she immediately dove right in. And this is the type of client that I love to work with because her mindset around mentorship was incredible. She was like, here's where I'm at. Here are my goals. Tell me what I need to do. I'm willing to do anything. And every single time we hopped on a call together or we're messaging back and forth inside a private Voxer channel, she was like, okay, here's what I'm at. Like, we would strategize, and literally, I'm not kidding, like an hour later after having that conversation, she'd be like, okay, Hannah, I did it. Now what? Now what can we do? She was like such a go-getter, and it wasn't from a place of like burnout and needing to keep up with the hustle, but she was just like so obsessed with making growth and like plugging into her community and figuring out what she needs to do to make sales and make her dream come true, that she was just like, let's go. There was never like I need to sit with this, I don't know, like let me Mercury's in retrograde, I gotta think about it, like none of that. She was just like, okay, I'm in. So she came to me with a fairly big size audience, and she had built this audience through her lifestyle reels. So her audience knew her for her reels. They knew that she was going to post like get ready with me videos, that vlogs, like she was almost doing like journal style vlogs where she was getting very vulnerable and like sharing her mindset journey and stuff. But her content was very influencer coded, right? Like it was very much like, here's what I'm doing. And not really inviting the viewer on the other side of the camera into the story, which is how we do strategic storytelling here. Is we flip the camera around and we turn the main character of the story, we turn your audience into the main character of the story. It's not really you anymore. You become like the elves in Lord of the Rings, who are like all knowing and like have really good powers and have this wisdom, but they're not the main character. Like Gandalf, like Yoda, like the Serial, if you are familiar with ACOTAR series. Like, you're not the main character, but if you were not in this story, holy cow, the story would look incredibly different. Right? So she was building her platform on like an influencer basis. And she really had this fear that if she were to sell to them, they would unfollow her. They would like revolt and be like, oh my God, I can't believe you're just another person trying to sell me a course. Like, she was super worried that her audience was going to turn against her and revolt. So she wasn't really selling. And when she did sell, it was very passive. Like, if this feels like you, come, you know where to go, like very, very passive. And so the people who were following her, like, what do you even mean? Like, where would I go? Do you have an offer? Like, where should I go? You know? So she was getting comments like, you're so inspiring. Like, I can't believe you told your story like this. Oh my God. Like, I admire you. I wish I was this brave. Like, these really sympathetic DMs and comments. And she also were getting a ton of other mindset coaches in her DMs pitching their offers. And she's like, hello, I'm a mindset coach. And they're like, oh, really? I couldn't tell from your content. So that was the number one thing we had to clear up instantly. So when we started first implementing the story selling framework, the first thing that we did, well, I have like a couple of things. I'm reading my notes here just so I can stay on topic and not have this be 45 minutes long. We started implementing the story selling framework, which if you aren't familiar, it's finding your signature story, which is your legacy positioning, how you're going to be building this reputation in the online space. This is how you're remembered. This is how people like associate your work with you. They know you for your story. And it's not just like your rags to riches story. It's not why you started your business story. It's like the mundane things that like why you do what you do, what opinions you have, what stances you have. And that is what's going to bring people to you, right? So that's step one. Step two is getting clear on your messaging, right? Like, who are we actually talking to and who is this offer actually for? Step three is building out your story bank that builds up and backs up your offers. Like, so you're selling this offer, why? What proof do you have? Why should someone invest in you? Why you? Why not someone else who's a marketing mentor, or not marketing, a mindset mentor? Right? Like, why you? Essentially, my favorite question of all time is why you? And even though she didn't have a lot of client success stories, she did have her own personal story that we used for her story bank, and we had some friend stories that we also pulled for her story bank. We're going to dive into that too. And then lastly, we focused on posting for conversion. So we weren't just posting for visibility, we were posting for the goal of getting new leads into her CRM, into her pipeline, and also for like the right people following her, the right people seeing her content, and getting sales inquiries, and of course clients. So before she was posting with the goal of getting views, now we're posting for a whole new different strategy. So we started implementing this framework for her, and pretty soon after, she signed her very first client, which was incredible because she sent me this message saying, I actually was thinking about quitting my business and just like saying, F it, this isn't for me, I'm going to go back to school. And instead she signed her very first client, which is incredible because I know that first client can be really, really, like, sometimes the hardest clients for people to sign. So she signed her very first client, incredible. And then as she started to get more confident selling, because the way I teach selling is through storytelling. So it's very strategic and it flows. It makes your sales like an extension of your content. So it's not just like, and if this is you, here is my offer, you should join my offer, and this is why you should. It's not sleazy, it's not performative. It's like, yeah, so if that aligned with you, here's an invitation for more information. But direct, because we're being strategic. So she got more confident selling. She like got into the flow of it. She understood like the rhythm of this framework, and leads and sales followed pretty soon after. I think it was like a month or two in, she got 17 leads for her masterclass. And she also got a post that hit 200 likes. And this was a carousel post, not a reel. She didn't think her audience enjoyed her reel or her carousel post because they're like, they know her for her lifestyle reel, so why would they care about this like really long storytelling carousel post? Well, newsflash, they did. So how did we do this? I wanted to break this down step by step so that you can take some notes and maybe apply this to your own business and audit your own business to see if these are some mistakes that you're making, and what tweaks you can make to start to see some real momentum in your business. And remember, at the time of filming this, it's October 30th. Halloween's tomorrow, babies. But it's October 30th, which means like we're in crunch season. This is takeoff season. People have their biggest launches ever in Black Friday season, like December. Like people, this is the season where people truly take off, and people are buying, people are investing because it's tax write-offs, and they're like, okay, it's crunch time. You know, I set this goal for myself at the beginning of the year and it hasn't happened yet, so I need support to get this goal accomplished. So people are investing in coaches and done-for-you service providers. So if you're one of the two, like, hello, you're in the right place. We got to figure this out. The first thing that we did was, since she didn't have a lot of client stories to pull from, we really leaned heavily into her signature story, her legacy story, which her audience already knew her for. They loved her for this. This is literally why she was getting thousands and thousands of views every single time she posted the reel. So the difference was that we used the story selling framework to sell her offers with this story. So it wasn't just like, here's my story, feel bad for me. You know, maybe you relate to this. It was like, here's my story and here's why I'm the authority to now lead you through this, because I've been where you are. I have what you want and I can help you get there. And this enabled her to sell her offers without feeling like a used car salesman, without making her feel like she was being sleazy or anyway, or like pushing her audience away, because it truly was just a continuation of the content they already loved her for. Now they're like learning about her story, learning about what she can do for them. And there's also a next step. They're not just like, oh, okay, I'm going to wait for your next video. It's like, oh, I can actually go and learn about your mindset course or your mindset program or your yoga classes. Like, I want to spend more time with you, and now I can. We also turned her lifestyle content into content that invited her audience into the story, right? I talked about this earlier about how she was posting kind of like an influencer, which was all about like her, it was all about me, like the attention was inward focused instead of outward focused. So what we did was we flipped who the main character of the content was. So she was still posting lifestyle content that was bringing and growing her audience, but now instead of lifestyle content that was just very inward focused, she now kind of flipped the camera around and being like, so you are experiencing this, you have this goal, you might have had this thing happen to you, and here's what you need to do to shift the goal that you've been aspiring to, that you've been after. And again, that led really nicely into sales language that was like, and this is actually something I support people with, so if you need help with this, or if you feel like you're at this stage, this program is where you need to be. So it really organically like called the right people in. We weren't being manipulative in any way. It was like, I see you, here's where you are, and I can help you. So like, come take my hand and let's do this together. And then lastly, something that I really admire about her, like if we had to break down and narrow it down to 3 things that really changed the game for this particular client, was we really leveraged how strategically we were telling her story. We flipped who the main character of her content was. And the last thing was her mindset. Like, she is an action taker. She literally knew that mentorship is her next step because she had big goals, big ass goals she was after. And she had known that she'd been posting for 60 to 90 days and I wasn't seeing the sales that she wanted to see. So she knew that she needed to invest in the proper support into someone who has been where she has been, who has gotten clients from where she was to where she wanted to be, and had a proven framework that was going to work for her. And once she invested in my mentorship, she just wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna be successful now, like through osmosis or whatever. Like, sometimes I feel like people think all you have to do is invest to be successful, but that's not the case. Like, I can give you the best strategy in the world, but if you're not actually implementing it, if you're not actually doing the things that I tell you to do, guess what? Nothing's gonna happen. So she wasn't like this. She was an action taker. Literally from day 2 or day 1, she was like plugging into the chat support. She was diving into all the trainings and she was taking notes. She like literally sent me a screenshot of her Google folder. I think it was Google, doesn't matter. Like, of her notebook. And she was like pages and pages and pages of notes. And she was like, and I can't wait to come onto the call with my notes and you're going to help me organize them and tell me what I need to focus on when, and like what my plan of action is, which, by the way, is something we do every single week inside this SSA, the accelerator. Every other week we go on these strategy calls and I check in, like, what have you done? What's working, what's not working? And then let's strategize a plan of action of action to help you actually get to your goals. So she did that. She was like so all in. Every single week she had a question for me. Every single week she had like notes that she like noticed about her audience. She was like, okay, I posted this and it didn't do as well as this one did. Like, how do we double down on this one? Just the way that she approached mentorship was truly one of the top reasons why she was so successful inside this program. So she like never had to think about an action. She was just like, an hour later, okay, I did it. What's next? And that approach is really why she took off. That, and the fact that she never once was like nervous to flip the way that she was doing content. She had full trust in me. She had full trust in the proven framework that I use with all my clients. And she was successful, right? She had 17 people coming into her classes. She had her very first like one-on-one client with me. She blew up her content even more than it was already blowing up. She would go from having no DMs or people just pitching her in her DMs, which is like negative DMs, if I'm being honest, to, waking up every single morning and having people that she could actually have conversations with inside our DMs. Which, if you think about it, like, I've been in the place where I haven't had any DMs I'd be posting consistently and I haven't had any DMs, and I know how that feels, to feel like you're posting just into the void and no one's listening, and you're not even able to get some feedback because the people in your DMs, they're giving you nothing. You're like, okay, if I could just have a conversation with somebody, I would know what like direction I need to put my posts in and stuff. So like even having people inquire about working with you, or give you feedback on your post and being like, this was really helpful, is it means so much to content creators and entrepreneurs who sometimes feels like they're posting into the void. So this client, she's amazing. She's doing incredible work. I'm so incredibly proud of her. And it just goes to show that even if you have a large audience, it doesn't guarantee you sales. It doesn't guarantee you success. Yes, we want more visibility. Yes, we want to get in front of the most people possible. But if you don't actually know how to convert those people and it's not working for you, then there's some gap that we need to address. So if you have any questions about this, if you're like, I feel like I'm in the same spot as this client, or you really took something of value from this episode, I would really encourage you to send me a DM and say like, listen, Hannah, this is where I'm at. I'm experiencing X, Y, and Z. Like, I'm not getting DMs. I'm not getting people joining my offers. Can you see a gap? Right now, I'm actually doing free audits for people where you can just send me, send me gap in the DMs, message me gap, and I will go to your profile and I will do a quick scan of your bio, like your sales, if you have a sales sequence up, your top posts and stuff, and I will identify some gaps that I see and tell you what you need to do to fix them. It's usually about a 2 to 3 minute voice note, but these voice notes are really, really potent. And if you know me, I don't give any fluff. Like, this is going to be exactly what you need, especially in takeoff season. So if that's you, if you have questions, send me the word gap in the DMs on Instagram and get your free audit. And if you just have questions about working with me, this is a good place for you to go as well. But thank you so much for listening to this episode. Let me know if you got something of value from this, and I will see you in the next episode.